Hello, I want to make a video about plastic. I think we use much too much plastic, and it should stop. It's piling up in the oceans, killing a lot of wildlife. It contains things we don't need in it, things that are bad for us in it, chemicals called PCBs, and they could be replaced by over 2,000 other products anyway. But then we shouldn't be using plastic anyway, so they're beside the point somewhat. We could easily go back to using glass and cartons again. The alternative is that we end up under a mountain of plastic, literally, and die under it. This is not an exaggeration. There's an island the size of France, bigger than France even, in the Pacific Ocean, and that will eventually take up the whole of the Pacific Ocean and then start to encroach on land. And we will end up, if we carry on like this, with the entire planet submerged under plastic. And that is not an exaggeration. It's what will happen. We're going to have to stop using plastic. So let's do it. Let's stop using plastic. We could go back to what we used to use, which is glass and wax cartons. And there's a biodegradable type of cellophane anyway, which we could use to let people see contents of packaging. Or we could just go back to having meat counters like we used to have, and cheese counters and cake counters and so on. You know, some things are still left out in the open anyway, like bread. So let's just go back to having counters. You might think, you know, a lot of these people who run places will say it will cost a lot. Well, the alternative is that the planet dies, we die with it. So let's not be stupid anymore. You've already made money by doing a huge amount of damage already. So let's just cut it out now and not be so psychopathic and selfish about everything. So yeah, we can go back to using cartons. Oh, and the Tetra Pak people as well, who invented that simple little fold top, and now making so much money out of it because they patented it that people don't want to use it anymore. So they're not using cartons. They're using plastic instead. So those people are also contributing to an enormous amount of damage that's being done to nature and the planet in general, just so they can make money. I think we should limit patents to 10 years anyway, which means their patent ran out over 10 years ago. So it should now be free to make that sort of fold-top carton, or any fold-top carton, or the ones they've patented anyway. And we should go back to using cartons with no charge to anyone, so we can get on with living a non-destructive life that will let the planet and us live. So that's it. That's my take on plastics. I'm throwing away a huge amount every day. I feel terrible about it. I love nature. It's very obvious to me the damage I'm doing. You might say you should recycle it, but the council says it recycles it, but it doesn't say how. So for all I know, they could just be paying people to take it to China. And what the Chinese do is what anybody who takes it away in shiploads does, is empty it into the sea and come back for another lot. And even though this must be obvious, really, because they didn't have time to get to China, and they wouldn't have had time to get to China and back anyway. So it's obvious they dumped it at sea. They just give them another load. So they're just paying them to go and dump it at sea, really. And I don't want to put money in the pockets of people who are doing that. So I'd rather throw it away. Then it goes into landfill. But at least in landfill, it is just like rocks or anything else taking up space in the soil. And it's there to be dealt with at some point, rather than killing things in the oceans. So I throw it away every day, rather than recycle it. And I just feel terrible about it. It just piles up and piles up. And to someone who loves nature, it's very obvious what damage you're doing. It's like being made. I am being made to harm something I love. Because I'm not one of these hunters that goes out and kills wildlife. I love it. So I'm being made Just to survive, I have to buy food. And every time I buy it, I know I'm killing what I love. So for someone like me, it's an extremely distressing and aggravating experience to have to buy plastic every day. I feel really sick and angry about it. So I think we should use as few plastics as possible, biodegradable plastics wherever possible, recyclable plastics wherever possible. Maybe stop all non-essential use of plastic products. Because one person's pleasure is wildlife's terrible suffering. And it's not okay. If you think it is, you're a psychopath who puts your own pleasure above whether or not you're hurting somebody else. You're a psychopath. And you shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be allowed to do it. There are a lot of people like you on the planet, and you need to be controlled and dealt with by people who know better. Or even punished. People who claim that their profits should come before other people's, before the welfare of the world and humanity, are psychopaths, and they probably need treatment or punishment. So, we've got to stop using plastics as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Bye.